Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. This is the second video in the Junk Journal January series. And today I'm going to be going over prompts 3 and 4. But first I wanted to show you that on my very first page, the tab ended up being too long. I thought I had measured that out, but I was incorrect. So I had to trim it way down and repaper that and write the year again. And it's really pitiful. I didn't do a very good job of trimming that down right, but the good news is I don't have to worry about what goes on the back because it just that yarn takes up the whole space. So anyway, that's what I got going there. And so now we'll move on to prompt number 3. So now I'm moving on to day 3, which is throwback. And so in my mind, I am thinking throwback, like techniques that I've done in the past, or items that I used to use way back when I first started scrapbooking. So I thought, well, let me just see what I can find that I have from my old scrapbooking days. And I found this paper, and it actually have a piece that has the date on it. This is 2003. So that's 20 years ago, 21 years ago. So I'm thinking, yeah, that's a bit of a throwback. So I'm going to use this paper, and then I pulled out my paper here because I do remember ripping things a lot back when I first scrapbooking. And then I found this old Yahtzee scorecard, and I mean, that's a throwback game, right? So that it's kind of large though, and I'm not sure how I would incorporate. I mean, I could rip this up and use parts of it, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet, so that's a possibility. I do like the Yahtzee card. And a lot of times we used photo corners, and so I thought, well, that's a throwback. The photo corners are definitely a throwback. And so I thought maybe I'd do something like this. I'm thinking 1800s back. So I'm going to dive into my Tim Holtz dolls and maybe add a doll or something. Okay, I went through all my dolls, and believe it or not, the only thing that I just really spoke to me was this little teeny doll. And I'm kind of disappointed that I couldn't find a bigger version of her. I have a ton of paper dolls, and I could not find a bigger version of this little girl. But she just really spoke to me. And I mean, look at her little outfit. It looks like she has a fringed skirt and the jacket and the hat, and she's got like a holster. And she's holding it like she's trying to be Annie Oakley or something. I don't know if that's the case. Um, but her little outfit is just adorable. And I absolutely love the fact that she has a little smirk or a smile on her face. Now, to me, that's amazing that a child could hold that position and hold that little smile for 20 minutes, because that's about how long it took back then to expose a photograph. Um, so now I'm preparing all the pieces by inking and doing some sewing around the page. And then I'm thinking about placing the doll onto this black tag because it's just reminiscent of those old photo albums where the photographs were placed onto those black construction paper pages. But I'm not 100% sure how I want that to be, so I'm setting that aside. And now I'm cutting up this phrase from a Tim Holtz small talk book, and it says, "Life was meant to be a great adventure." And I think it fits perfectly for the month of January and this little girl that's on the page. And I'm cutting that up because that's very reminiscent of what we did back in the day when we take letters or words from old magazines and just make a sentence with them. So I think it's a very throwback thing to do. And I've stamped that brown strip of paper with a stamp that looks like a handwritten letter or a collage of handwritten letters. And I'm adding the lace just to give it a little bit more of texture and a old junk journal feel. And then I decided to cut that tag down smaller and place it horizontally onto the page. It's still reminiscent of those old photo albums, but I think it just fits better onto the page this way. So I'm really loving how this came out. I think it's a good representation of throwback. It just reminds me of some of the elements we used when I was scrapbooking as a kid, the corner mounts, the cut up words to make a phrase. And this paper here is very reminiscent of construction paper. And so I really like the way that came out. I didn't necessarily intend it for it to be so neutral because that's another prompt later on, but I'll have to think of something else for that one. And I went ahead and did the next one, which is tuck spot, because I want my layouts to be coordinated throughout my journal. So I've done this one off camera, but it's pretty much the same idea. I've got that really old paper in the background with some sewing and the corner mounts. Added a little bit of lace and then ripped this here and glued it on three sides for a little tuck spot. And then I've got my little tag here, and don't know if I'll put anything on that or not. I don't know. I'm gonna just tuck the end of that string there so it doesn't hang on the bottom. So that's 3 and 4. All right, so now I'm moving on to pages number 5 and 6, and I'm going to skip 5 for now. That's the daily log, and I'm going to show you what I've done for number 6. And I didn't do this on camera. It's going to be tough getting through this one anyway. So anyway, this one, number 6 is memory. And my memories, as they do often in the month of January, go towards my sister, who is passed away. And so I wanted to put that as my memory, or at least a memory of sisters. And so I found this quote that says, "Sisters share not just a bond." Anyway, I don't think I can get through that, but anyway, so instead of going through the whole process and bawling the whole time through, I thought I'd complete this page except for the little bow that I'm going to put right here, but I just don't want the bulk of that as I flip over to work on the other side. So, but basically I just printed out the quote and I've added some rub-ons and a piece of lace and just kept it as simple as that. And I wanted to do this first because I want my layouts to coordinate, and so I thought once I figure out what this is going to look like, then I can move on to number 5, which is daily logs. So a daily log to me is like recording, the things that you've accomplished during the day or the things that you're going to be doing. And so I have a little daily log here that I created, and it's meant for an 8.5 by 11 paper. So I couldn't quite get down to this particular dimensions of this page is a little different. So it's, come in on the sides a little bit, so, lunch and dinner is cut off a little bit there. And, but close enough for me. And so I've just roughed up the edges like I did the paper here. And the paper that I printed this on is in the background. It's very faint, but it's gardenias, and that was my sister's favorite flower. So I created the daily log on similar paper with gardenias, and then just, made some things that I thought were important to me for my daily logs, things that I want to include. And because this is more of it doesn't want to focus. Because this is more of an art journal for me and a mood journal rather than, journaling and whatnot, I'm just going to leave it like that just for looks. And then I want to carry over with the rub-ons. Now, the florals that are in the background are from a 49 and Market collection. They were used on some cards I made, and these are just a few of the leftovers that I have. The butterflies, however, are from a newer Simple Stories collection, and those rub-ons are more opaque than the ones I have from 49 and Market, so I have to be careful how I place those onto the page. I'm not sure how I'm going to rub these on, but I do have this bird that matches the butterflies from the Simple Stories, and I'm thinking about putting the bird somewhere like that. And then I have a bit of lace here, so I'm thinking I'll put the lace more towards the bottom, and the holes are going to have to be punched in into the daily log, because I mean I just couldn't get it. I couldn't get the dimensions down any further without making it look really weird. And that's okay if it's just for the idea of the daily log anyway. So I'm just going to go ahead and get everything glued on and get these rub-ons in place, and we'll go from there. All right, so here are pages, or not pages, prompts or days 5 and 6 completed. And I know that they're not very dimensional, but there's a lot of layering going on with the rub-ons and the paper, the printouts that I have underneath there. And so I'm happy with the way it's come out, and I don't need a lot of dimension anyway, because I'm going to be good just getting 31 pages in here as it is. So I'll go ahead and add the little bow as soon as I finish the other side. But I'm really happy with the way they turned out, and I do apologize if I upset anybody earlier. And so my heart goes out to any of you who are struggling now, and I can promise you that in a lot of ways it does get easier, it does get better. And but it's okay if your heart always mourns, because we're going to miss our loved ones no matter when they passed, right? So anyway, I just wanted to leave that with you. I hope that's on a hopeful note rather than a really sad note. So I'm going to end this video here, and so I hope you guys can catch me next time for day 7 and 8.